Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Nur Syafiqah and with my other two group members, which are Fatin Amira and Siti Amira Arifah, we share about the legal framework and Shariah issues in Hibah. Okay, first of all, let us look into what is Hibah. Hibah is a transfer of legal and beneficial ownership of the assets from the donor to the beneficiary on the volunteer basis during his or her lifetime without any due consideration. So hibah is one of the important instruments used in Islamic wealth management, and it is an alternative mechanism in distribution of the wealth besides faraid, which is the faraid will take some time to solve the distribution of the wealth. So in this video, we will emphasize more on hibah amanah, or also known as hibah trust. Okay. So this is the concept of hibah that I mentioned before. And also hibah is considered as tabarruk contract. Okay. Okay, next let's move to the legal provision on hibah policy document. Okay, so the legal provision on hibah policy document, for example, on Shariah requirement and also on the operational requirement. So the legal provision on the Shariah requirement is give the bank the power to specify standards on the Shariah matters. And for the operational requirement, it specifies standards relating to matters which does not require the ascertainment of Islamic law, give the bank to define prudential principle to encourage the sound financial condition, and then give bank to specify standards on business conduct, and also submission of document or information to the bank. Okay. Now let's move to the gap analysis. Okay. So in this gap analysis, we compare between the concept of hibah and also the application of hibah amanah in tabung haji. So first we look into the definition, which hibah amanah is a form of conditional hibah, which also can be defined as an agreement for the gift of a donor's asset during his or her lifetime for the benefit of the beneficiary without any consideration. Okay, and for the definition for hibah amanah in tabung haji, it is a voluntarily gift from tabung haji depositors saving account to the recipients which during his or her lifetime on the basis of love without any coercion, and there is ijab and qabul between the depositor and the recipient. Okay, next point is hibah structures comprise of hibah parties, hibah asset, and also offer, which is ijab and qabul. And the principles in the hibah amanah of tabung haji, depositor, recipient, property, formal exchange, which is ijab and qabul, and also the hibah procurement.
Next, moving on to concept of hibah. Okay, since we have to do hibah amanah in tabung haji, we have to understand concept of hibah and trust, since hibah amanah is the hybrid product of these two concepts. First, concept of hibah. Concept of hibah is the transfer of legal and beneficial ownership of assets from donor to the beneficiary on a volunteer basis during his lifetime. So what about trust? Trust will involve three parties, which is donor, trustees, and beneficiaries. Meaning donor will give hibah assets to trustee, but the beneficiary can benefit from the trustee. And the transfer of asset happen after the demise of donor. So for hibah amanah in tabung haji, for point number 2, it follow a trust concept, which is a hibah trustee. Okay, and then for point number 3, it follow both concept, which is concept of hibah and trust. And then for point number 4, it follow concept of trust, which is the property will be transferred after the demise of the donor. Next, we can see that Hibah Shariah requirement. As we can see, Hibah Shariah requirement only require the parties to be first, natural being or legal body. Second, must have legal capacity. And third, can appoint wakil for recipient with no legal power. And then we can see application of Hibah Amanah in tabung haji. We can see that for the depositor of Hibah Amanah, it must own adult tabung haji account, mentally sound, age 18 years old and above, and subject to terms and conditions as stated in Hibah Amanah tabung haji. And for the recipient also, the recipient must be Malaysian or non-Malaysian, Muslim or non-Muslim, mentally sound, and no age limit. But because the recipient under age of 18 can appoint a legal guardian. And the number of recipient is unlimited. So the conclusion here is we can see that Hibah Amanah tabung haji follow Hibah Syariah requirement. According to Hibah PD, Hibah will be cancelled if the death of donor prior to the recipient take possession on Hibah assets and or fulfillment of condition of conditional Hibah. So for application of Hibah Amanah in tabung haji, it will be cancelled if the cancellation and amendment cannot be made without the recipient consent. But if the recipient is the child or grandchild of the depositor, it can be cancelled without consent.
So my name is Fatih Amira bin Rashid, and I will be explaining about the effect of Hibah, and also the operational requirement of Hibah, and the gap analysis between the policy document of Hibah and the application of Hibah Amanah tabung haji. So first is the effect of Hibah. So first, according to the policy document of Hibah, the portion received by the beneficiary will not be the one fixed under Faraid, but will be at the absolute discretion of the donor. So any hibah given by the donor during his or her lifetime will be excluded completely from being distributed under Faraid, and there is no fixed amount that are subjected to any rules or regulation, and the donor can give the beneficiaries whatever amount they want to give. So for Hibah Amanah tabung haji, the portion received by the beneficiary is based on the amount of money left in the depositor's account by the time of the death of the depositor. So the distribution will be based on what have been stated in the tabung haji Amanah Trust deed. So this is because even though the depositor signed an agreement for Hibah Amanah, they still can do withdrawals and save withdrawals and deposit more money, and it is up to them. And the final amount when they pass away is the amount that will be distributed to the beneficiaries. So next is the operational requirement. So first is the policy document of Hibah have listed governance. The first operational requirement is the governance and oversight. So an Islamic financial institution IFI have to have functional board of directors, Shariah committee, and also senior management to oversee the operation of the bank or the financial institution, Islamic financial institution. And second is documentation. So under section 23.2 for Hibah arrangement with contracts other than a court contract, the legal documentation must include at minimum the terms and conditions of Hibah, the right, duties, and obligations of the parties involved in Hibah, description of Hibah assets in the Hibah arrangement, and the method, condition, and timing for affecting Hibah. So for takaful product, the takaful operator must record settlement of Hibah once the Hibah is affected. So first, we will be seeing the governance and oversight. for hibah tabung haji, hibah amanah tabung haji. So this diagram is the organization chart of tabung haji. So as we can see, there are Shariah committee and also board of directors and senior management that will oversee the operation of the Islamic financial institution. And the person who are appointed to the positions are also people who are capable and appropriate people that have been recognized by law. So next is the documentation. So this is the example of application process of Hibah Amanah. So Hibah Amanah tabung haji is for depositors who have savings account with the IFI. Thus, they don't need to apply for a new account, and they only have to apply for the nomination of the beneficiary or beneficiaries. So the depositor will need to submit related documents as requested by the bank for application, amendment, cancellation, information update, or withdrawal of the hibah tabung haji. So, for example, the application process of hibah amanah require the depositor and also the recipient to fill in application form, and then the depositor will need to make application fee and submit it to the bank, and the bank will revise, process, and register the deed of trust and POA of hibah amanah tabung haji at the High Court. And then the bank will submit notification for confirmation letter of hibah amanah tabung haji registration. And then last but not least, the depositor will receive one original copy of hibah amanah, deed of trust, and also POA. And for terms and condition of the product, the terms and condition will disclose in detail and can be seen at the websites of the tabung haji so that the involved parties can take note.
Okay, so to conclude our discussion of Hibah Amanah, okay, the first one is Hibah Amanah is a flexible structure and one of the efforts to overcome the issue of lengthy process in wealth estate planning among Muslim, such as in Faraid. Okay, the element of hibah and trust are structured together to meet the balance needs against the benefit from the hibah asset between the donor during his or her life and the donor after the donee after the death of the donor. So in Islam, the concept of hibah amanah is formed for the benefit of those who are still minor and have not yet attained the age of majority, or those who are mentally incapable by law. Thus, they may not be able to manage the assets. However, the application of hibah amanah in Malaysia has been modified from its original concept in order to suit its purpose as a financial instrument. Okay, so under the new concept, the donor can appoint any trustee to manage the hibah asset pending its delivery, even though the recipient is legally sound and has attained the age of maturity. Okay, so hibah amanah instrument has yet to be governed by any statutory provision like hibah in takaful, which is protected by the virtue of the section 142, Schedule 10 of the Islamic Financial Services Act IFSA 2013. So the only permissibility of the hibah amanah contract is based on the resolution made by the Federal Territory Shariah Committee, which is Ketua Council, in its 56th meeting held on 5th October 2000. Okay, so one of the example of the case of hibah amanah is TM Feroz Khan and also Mira Hussein TM Mohammed Maidin. So in this case, the judge decided that the law applicable for the trust in Malaysia is the civil law, regardless the party involved is Muslim or non-Muslim. Therefore, any instruments which were executed on the basis of trust will be subjected to the Trustee Act 1949, whether or not the party involved is a person or accompany a Muslim or a non-Muslim. Okay, so that's all from our group. Thank you.